So we know that the Canadian men are holding a national camp. They're doing that in Florida. Ollie, I'll begin with you. Which player has the most to gain in this men's camp?
Well, we got to talk about Noble Akalo, I think, and the pictures he's been posting on Instagram recently. I don't know if we can pull this up. But Noble Akalo is someone I've been watching for a few years coming through the system with TFC. Very tall. I think he's 6'4". And you just wondered when he was going to fill out into that frame of his. And, well, take a look at this. I think he has done. This could be an interesting year for him. He's looking in great shape. He looks like the home gym in quarantine has been going well. And he's someone who obviously is going to want to be coming back from Denmark on a good loan spell there and trying to break into the Toronto FC first team and also obviously potentially being involved in the Olympic qualification with Canada. So you think there could be more opportunities for young players with TFC under Chris Armas, as we've talked about? This kind of different style of play is going to take energy and youth. And Noble Akalo looks in pretty decent shape to potentially be ready to take advantage of that.
He's on the Adama Traore diet, isn't he, Ollie? He looks huge.
But just like a foot
if you're going to look at it, by the way, who I'm looking at right now is the one, the only Oliver Platt, coming up with what he thinks were the starting 11s for an inter-squad scrimmage. Well done. I mean that's some quality journalism right there, Ollie. I can't pick just one player, and usually I don't cop out like this because I think that if you look at the players that were at John Herdman's disposal for this January camp, you look across the back line, it's defenders. I think 3 of the 4 defenders that you'll see start and feature prominently for World Cup qualifying in March are present at this camp. So whether it's an Alistair Johnston, whether it's Richie Larea, who, according to Ollie, was playing down the left-hand side, something that we thought would happen, a Kamal Miller, a Frank Stirring, I think that there's a lot of players, a Zachary Broguillard, there's a lot of players in position to stand out at this camp and take a step forward, gaining the coaching staff's trust. So come those all-important qualifiers in March, that they're able to take up their role, and the coaching staff will have confidence in those players. So whoever takes advantage of this situation, good on them, because it's really the defensive structure where I'm looking at out of this camp.
Yeah, really curious to also just see how Herdman divvies up this whole squad between, as we mentioned, a busy year, World Cup qualifying, Olympic qualifying, and of course, Concacaf Gold Cup. Lots of chances, to make, you would almost say 3 different teams, give or take, obviously, a few players here or there. So that'll be really fascinating to see how he divvies up that responsibility. As we turn our attention to the women, recently confirmed that the women will compete in the SHEBELIEVES Cup. So that'll happen in February, where they take on teams like USA, Brazil, and Japan under new head coach Bev Priestman. Ollie, what can we learn from Team Canada at this tournament?
I think there's a ton of kind of individual questions when you look at team selection and tactics and things like that I'll be watching out for. Big one, where does Jordan Heitema play? Does she even get in the starting lineup, which obviously she didn't do in big games, at least under Kenneth Heine-Muller? How do you accommodate her and Christine Sinclair? Where does Ashley Lawrence play? Is she a fullback? Is she a midfielder? I suspect she'll continue in midfield. And they'll kind of build the team around her to an extent. Could there be new players coming in from outside the core group we saw under Heine-Muller? Obviously, Evelyn Vienne and the goals she's scoring in France makes her a candidate there. So there's a ton of different little individual questions I think that will be interesting to see what Bev Priestman comes up with to answer those questions against quality opponents like the US and Brazil and Japan. So big test to start off with.
Gareth, what about you? What are some things that you're hoping to learn from the Canadian team?
It's a big undertaking for Bev Priestman and a brand new coaching staff, isn't it? So it's going to be interesting to see how they come together and what their vision is to take this women's team forward. But I'm not sure how much time for experimentation there actually is. And what we've heard from Canadian players, and even Priestman herself, was for this summer's Olympics, they want to change the color of medal from bronze to silver or gold. And playing the US, Brazil, who they're level in terms of the FIFA World Rankings, in 8th, and Japan in 10th. I mean, these are 3 countries that are going to be playing the Olympics and very good tests for this Canadian women's team. So whether they can make that jump and be a gold medal contender, or whether maybe we've set the expectations a little bit too high, I think we will learn a lot about this Canadian women's team and how good they actually are approaching this all-important summer tournament.
Expectations typically also determine pressure. So who would you say is under the most pressure for 2021 as head coaches? Ollie, would it be Herdman or would it be Priestman?
It's got to be John Herdman. You know, this is the best generation of men's players in some time, and there will be expectation there. And I think it's going to be difficult for him to obviously juggle all these different tournaments as well. So I'm not saying that it's World Cup 2022 or bust. I think certainly they have to get to the final round, and then they have to put in a positive showing in that final round. I think that's a fair expectation, and one that will be difficult to achieve, and is not something that Canada have done on a regular basis. Then you've got to go to the Gold Cup and perform there with what could be a very different squad to your A team. The Olympics as well to factor in. So there's so many different competitions and bigger expectations than ever. And I just think the women's team is in a little bit of a rebuilding phase, and there won't quite be those same level of expectations around them as there are the men in what could be just an absolutely pivotal year for this program, not just in the short term, but in the long run in terms of the growth of the program too.
I like that word pressure, because for me, it's something to be embraced, Andy, whether you're John or Bev. But I got to look at the women's program here. Bev Priestman has taken over a team that has grown accustomed to winning. And it's about continuing to win for this program and to move things forward. And look, Canada lost a good young head coach, potential head coach in Rian Wilkinson, who stepped away from the program. Priestman was picked because she was the right individual to take this program forward. It's going to be no easy task. Jessie Fleming's not playing much right now. Jordan Heidem has only played about 250 minutes on the season. She's linked to a move away. What kind of shape is this team and her players going to be in? Because typically, a lot of these players playing in North America as well, they're in their off season right now. I just think it's a much more difficult task for Priestman than maybe the picture that's being painted thus far.
I know I sound like a broken record whenever we talk about the national teams, but I love that we're even talking about pressure, because it means they've set standards. The expectations are there.